Hi everyone! One of the important things in recording and mixing is gain staging your audio levels for a clean sound. When this is not done properly, you can get noisy or distorted audio. Today I show you a few quick tips on how you can apply gain staging for recording as well as for your mixes. With gain staging, you make sure that you use the optimal level for a clean audio signal. That means it's not too low in gain, as this can result in a noisy recording, and that your signal is not too high in gain either, because that can cause clipping or distorted sound. In every electrical device, and that includes microphones, keyboards, drum machines, preamps and your sound card, there's always a certain amount of noise. All that noise combined creates the so-called noise floor. In order to get a nice and clean recording of your vocals or instruments, you need to use enough input gain to raise the signal above that noise floor. At the same time, you want to make sure it's not too hot, so it doesn't distort. So when you are recording your vocals or your instruments, it's important to get your gain to the right level. To do this correctly, you need to look at the meter in your DAW or at your interface mixer and keep the fader at 0 dB, also called unity, so that you can see the correct level. If you're not using a computer, have a tape machine or a mixer, bring the fader to 0 and look at the meter on the mixer or tape machine. Then it's time to raise the input or microphone gain until you see level coming in. First try to determine what the loudest part of the recording will be. Play or sing that loud section so that you can adjust the input gain on your interface or mixer. This way, you know for sure that you will have enough headroom whilst recording. Especially with recording live drums, make sure you keep enough headroom for your recording so that you don't cut off peaks. For example, off the snare drum. For almost all my recordings, I use -12 dB so that I leave enough headroom for all my sounds, especially when I have a lot of dynamics going on. On most mixers and tape machines, you want to go to 0 dB or just below that for a clean recording. Now I make an example for you, so I will record my vocal sound with not enough gain and one with too much gain, so that you really can see what is happening in the sound file. I also will record my vocal sound with the optimal gain level. So what I want to do is I want to level up the gain to around -12 dB. So and I can click on here to see if I have peaks. So if I go over -12 dB, then I need to go a little bit lower with my gain. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, check, check, check. And now we have a look at the files. So you see here the one with not enough gain, the one with too much gain, and the one with normal gain. So let's listen now how that noisy one is sounding. 1, 2, 3, 4, check, check, check. And you can really hear hiss and noise, and that is actually what I don't want in my recording. So now we go to the clipped one. 1, 2, 3, 4, check, check, check. And here the last one you see is recorded well. I have enough headroom. 1, 2, 3, 4, check, check, check. When all your recordings are good and you see the fader is on 0 and your signals are around -12 dB, then you have enough headroom here also on the master fader, then you're actually ready to go for mixing. But what happens when you want to start mixing and you start with samples from a library or you get another project from somebody else and you find out the sounds are not loud enough or they are way too loud. So what do? So I have here a song. I imported the files and it sounds like this and it looks like this. So look at all the meters and also here on my master. So you could already see everything is actually too loud and I need to bring this back because otherwise I don't have any headroom for my project. Before you start lowering your clip gain, it's also really important to have all your faders on 0 or unity. So first I always look at the waveform. Here you can see that the waveforms are already pretty loud. I don't have really enough headroom for the project. So what I want to do is I want to create more headroom and I want to lower all the samples with clip gain. So I select all the samples and then I can go -12 dB. So I go lower here in my clip gain around -12. So that is over here. So you can already see I created more headroom and now we will look at the metering, how it looks. Yeah, that looks good. So I have enough headroom. Now all the levels are set, and then I'm able to mix the song. So then I can start with my mixing, and I can change also the faders. The next thing that is important is when you start using your plugins, and also check if you are not too loud in the input. So I have here this sound. So this is not too much in the input. So I lower it now with clip gain. And now I have enough headroom within the plugin. You can also use a trim plugin, or you use a utility. So I have here a utility, and I put the utility then before the plugin. And then here I can lower the output of the sample. And here I have enough headroom within my plugin. Always check your gain staging also during recording or mixing, not only one time. Are my levels not in the red? Is my headroom here on the master fader still good? Are my plugins not overloading? When you start doing this, you will notice that your mixes and your recordings really get better. I hope this video was helpful for you and that it will help to get better recordings and mixes. If you have any other tips about gain structure, post them in the comments, and I'll see you next time.